Welcome back to Cappuccino Podcast. Today we're going to discover Pablo's incredible journey from inventing to innovation. Yes, because there is a huge difference between innovation and invention. We're going to learn today what sets an invention apart, a true innovation, and all the hide secrets in this field. Currently, Pablo is a corporate innovation director. He's a highly experienced innovator and technology expert with 3 decades of international experience in complex emerging technologies and innovation fields. He has held many leadership roles in engineering and innovation departments in major technology organizations, you name it: IBM, General Electric, UTC, Cyber Holding, and also Etihad Airways. And speaking of Etihad Airways, he patented and co-developed innovation like the smart electric coal dolly, and he is also the innovator of several U.S. and international patents. Like one of those you're gonna probably and surely hear about, like the world's first electric auto lasting shoes. Yes, he's the inventor, and which gained a recognition from, for instance, the Uruguay media in 2015. So there is the podcast. We will deep dive into the world of corporate innovation and see what the secrets behind Pablo's remarkable career shift from inventor to innovator. Pablo, welcome to this podcast.
Thank you, Ayub. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm very happy to be here today with you.
Perfect. So first question first, how are you today? How is the weather in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, well, it started with a lot of fog in the morning, early morning, and then during the day it was quite sunny, quite nice. So it was a great day. So it's, yeah.
Here in Paris, it's a sunny day too. That is great. So we're all happy here, and honestly, I can't wait for the weekend to get started. It was a huge week from my side. So let's start from the beginning. We're gonna get into the corporate part, but there's a huge story behind, a huge journey from an inventor that you been since a child. So tell us about the story, about how all of this started as a child, as the first inventor you had, and how all of this started.
Yeah. So if you want to start from the beginning, there was a big explosion. No, that's just a bad joke. But so basically, just to give you a context, I was born in South America. I was born in Argentina, but my parents are from Uruguay, and but for different reasons, I was not raised with my parents. I was raised with my grandmother, my uncle, and my political grandfather as well. And also, there's an interesting factor, or different. An interesting element that I came to know years later, many years later. One of my grandfathers that I didn't, one of my grandfathers that I didn't meet, he was Italian, and he was a dentist, and he was an inventor himself. Yeah, so I knew after many years later that he had some patents and sold them in Japan. Yeah, but unfortunately, I never had to got to meet him. But anyway, so from a very early age, I was fascinated by books, and of course, I couldn't read at the beginning. I was a kid and very small, so I liked the figures and the pictures. And my uncle, he was studying civil engineering, and he had a lot of books on physics and all these balls and all this. Springs and all this, like kinematics and all this kind of things, and I was fascinated by this. And actually, my first invention, I mean, it didn't work, but it's a good sign that it didn't work, because it means I was pushing the limits, right? So it was not trivial. And I remember till today, he had like a big blackboard because he was studying in his room, and I took a chalk and I draw in the board my first invention. I don't know the age I was, 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. Yeah, and the first invention I remember till today, it was a magnetic car. And because I was playing with magnets, and I was fascinated by repulsion and attraction forces. And for some reason, I don't know, I came with the idea of this magnetic car that it had like a lever. And once theoretically, the user actions the lever, the magnet comes closer, and I thought, okay, now the car will move.
Wow, this is really awesome. So at the age of 5 or 6,
I don't want to. Around that age, I don't know exact age.
So
okay, and of course, this invention doesn't work, but doesn't matter. And the good thing that I was getting feedback from. He was not an engineer at that time, but he was studying for engineering, so he had very good knowledge. And he told me, Paulo, this doesn't work because this, that, because this law, blah blah blah. And okay, it's fine, I was not demotivated. I was happy somebody was listening and giving me feedback. And then, I of course, there's a psychological element. I don't want to go deep in the psychological element, but also always psychology plays a big role, right? And by the way, my wife is a psychologist. And actually, it's because of her that I came to acknowledge and realize when I was an adult that I was a child inventor. Yeah, so I didn't know till I was an adult that I was a child inventor. Yeah, because it's very difficult to know if a child is playing or he's inventing. It's very difficult for teachers, for parents. Yeah, so I would say the one guideline would be: is the kid just fantasizing, or is he extracting information or experiences that he got and he's putting them together in a meaningful way, right? So that's a bit of the key, Before I continue, I have some ideas that I don't want to lose, yeah. And something that I always disliked, let's say, not to say hate, yeah, but I disliked is the fact that when you're a kid, playing and coming up with ideas, and even, there are companies, schools that organize what's called like Inventor or Young Inventor boot camp or summer camp. And it's acceptable and it's encouraged for young kids to be inventors. Now, when you grow up, things change, and being an inventor is not longer tolerated by society.
right.
Yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was about to ask you, actually, do you think that an inventor actually is born inventor, or the childhood context that makes him inventor, actually?
Yeah, I think it's both elements. Like I said, one of my grandfathers, he was an inventor. So I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. There might be some DNA influence. The same way you have some genes that you're more likely to get certain diseases, yeah, or you have certain predispositions for some things. I believe there could be some element there. Of course, the environment, of course, helps. Also, I read many years back, that there was a scientist. Yeah, I don't remember who was him. Yeah, but there was a famous scientist that he had a problem with his parents, right? He didn't have a mother or something, and invention was like an unconscious way to seek for an answer, right? So in my case, I was not raised by my parents. I was raised by my grandmother. So my mother was alive and my father was alive, they were away. Yeah, they were in another country.
Okay.
My parents divorced when I was a kid. So there could be this element as well, inventing or finding solutions. Actually, you're searching for answers, right? So there could be this psychological element. But in general, I would say that the same way that a kid has certain predispositions for music, for painting, for other things, I think real inventors are born. Yeah. And I think is the way our mind is wired, okay, that makes a difference. But it's not only for inventors, it's for other people as well, right? I think we are all unique, all of us.
Right.
We have different talents. Some of them, they have a name. Some of them, they don't have a name, but still is a talent. Yeah. And why some kids, they are very good at music and other kids no? They have a predisposition, I think. The environment helps, but I think there is something. Can you teach it? Yeah, you can teach it, but if I learn how to play music, yeah, I will play very roughly, right? So I will never.
But doesn't make you an artist. Yeah. And
if it makes you an artist, you say?
Yeah,
you say?
yes. Learning music doesn't make you an artist anyway.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
right.
This is what I'm saying. It doesn't make you an artist, right? Or a real artist. Or even for inventors. So what's the definition of an inventor? So the classical the academic definition, let's say, or the legal definition is not very good in my opinion, because it's actually who has a patent. And there are many people that have patents that they are not wired like inventors.
Yeah, right.
So they have a patent. So yeah, so they call them inventors. Are they real inventors? Some of them, yes. Some of them, maybe no. Yeah. So then, okay. So now we go back. After my first invention, maybe, I don't know, I played around or made a few other things. I'm not sure. Now, it's very interesting. Some elements is that because I was raised by my grandmother, she was afraid, she was overprotective. She was afraid I got hurt. I go out in the street and I have an accident, or I play with a hammer and I get my hand smashed. Yeah. So she also, when I was inventing or thinking about these crazy ideas, she was afraid. Yeah. She thought I was over fantasizing and didn't like this and discouraged me from doing this thing. So I had to go into my mind and create like a lab, a secret lab. Nobody could enter my lab. Yeah. Okay. And this was my playing ground.
Yeah, this is so interesting. And so this lab you created, because for me, my own definition of inventor is first and foremost someone who connects dots so fast. Like it could be a challenge with a tech or with problem-solving issue or a topic. So, for instance, when I was young, I was like in Morocco, and I was trying to have access to hot water, and I saw that there was a lot of cold water wasted while waiting for its heat. I was like turning my head, and there was the flush using potable water, drinkable water. I was like, okay, let's connect dots. Those organs that gives us access to hot water and the flush that use it. So I come up with this invention. But the thing that makes the difference, and the perseverance too, in a way that you have an idea, everyone has ideas. And what makes an inventor too is the way you're moving to action, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very critical about this point. I disagree with most people on this point. Yeah, many people say, oh, ideas, they have no value. Everybody has ideas. And I disagree completely about this point.
Okay.
And they say only it matters if you execute. I completely disagree. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. Right? I think ideas have potential value and intrinsic value by their own. Yeah. So if you don't execute, it's like energy, right? It's potential energy. You have the rock high in the mountain, yeah, it's just waiting for the moment to fall and transform this energy into kinetic energy, right? So it's like if I tell you, for example, I invented the wheel, yeah, but I didn't use it for thousands of years. So people say, oh, it's useless because you didn't use it. No, the fact that I have this idea is very powerful. If I write this idea in a piece of paper or in a rock and I put it in a cave and 10,000 years later somebody finds it, there is knowledge, there is potential in the idea. Yeah. So this is what I disagree with people that they say, oh no, ideas, everybody has ideas. You know,
Yeah,
this,
right.
I'm completely against this thing. Yeah. I understand what they say. They're very pragmatic, very practical, but I totally disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm pretty aligned. That's why I asked you, because it wasn't clear in my mind, and I wanted to share this with you and get your feedback about it.
And by
And
the way,
go ahead, please.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but by the way, what you were doing when you were a kid, this is typical of an inventor. Typical. So I mean, I would risk to guess that you were a child inventor as well, maybe. Yeah. So this is what separates playing from a child inventor, right? That sometimes parents and teachers, they cannot distinguish.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. And speaking of invention that people think that are not useful, and I believe of cross-fertilization between industries, opportunities, and invention that could be used in another industry, and so on. What do you think the factors or that could make an invention an innovation, or what is for you in your perception the difference between an innovation and an invention?
Yeah, I mean, there's many differences. One is the way it's generated, right? So inventors, we have a problem. Yeah. One of the main problems of inventors that people don't know is that we have like a constant bombardment of ideas and images in our head that is difficult to disconnect. Yeah. And usually, so it comes like almost spontaneously, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if it's something comes into your head, and you know, and it also the unconscious is working on problems while you're sleeping or while you're doing other things, and cross-pollinates and joins the dots. Yeah. That's why my definition, after many years, I came to a definition of an inventor. An inventor, not a definition, but an inventor is somebody that is good at pattern recognition, or like you said, joining the dots. Yeah, it's almost the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this is an inventor. Now, an innovator, maybe he goes through a process. He does design thinking. He does something. He goes through steps, and then he reaches somewhere, right? So then this is the generation. Now the definition or the concept, I mean, or what people see as innovation and invention. So usually an innovation, it's something that has applicability and business value, right? In general, okay? So if I did a wheel, I can apply it to something and solve a problem.
Is the use case of the invention.
It's the use case and the capturing of the value. Yeah, so yeah, a use case and capturing of the value, yeah? So you can have an invention that maybe needs many years for others to come and build on it, or maybe it's an invention that, you know, so, and many times inventions are innovations as well, right? Because this invention allows you to capture value, to generate, you know, profit or a business or, you know, some type of benefit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's really clear. So before talking about the innovator part that you are doing today with big corporate, Let's keep talking anyway about first and foremost the innovation part. Tell us about your innovations and how is the first invention started and how the others get involved and how they became the best version of the previous ones and how you handle to have more inventions with time, knowing that some of the inventions are spontaneous and others are driven with problem, I suppose.
Yeah. So now I recall that I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. So I was older. Yeah. And I solved the first problem with an invention, though I did not implement it. Okay. So I solved it theoretically, let's say, but technically is completely correct solution and is feasible. But the most interesting part is not the solution, yeah, but it's how I reach the solution, yeah. And this, once again, message for teachers, for parents, if the kids are like cross-pollinating, taking elements from here, from there, and making sense, then they are very close to the invention process or to the natural invention. So I used to live in Uruguay, in Montevideo, Uruguay, in a very tall building. At the time, I think it was one of the highest buildings, if not the highest of the country. Yeah, 17 floors. Yeah? Okay. And I used to live in floor 15. And I mean, when I was a kid, there was a military dictatorship in many places in South America and also in my country. Yeah. And every now and then they provoked these blackouts. So we wouldn't have electricity for 2-3 days. Yeah?
Okay.
And then we have to go and get candles and in the house with candles like this. Yeah. So I heard somebody in my house, an adult in my house say that, we can still use water because, we have tanks, big tanks, and they're very high, and we have pressure for many hours without having the pump to fill the water because, we have a lot of pressure and the big tanks. So this means when we have blackouts, we still can open the tap and have good pressure. Okay. This was my first source of information. Okay, good. It was there.
The first
around,
dot.
Yeah, around in my unconscious. Yeah, was there. Yeah, it's like I will use you when I need it. Yeah, like a card here. Yeah?
I should look for the other dots to connect you with it.
So this was there. Then another thing I like a lot, and of course curiosity. It's a key element. Yeah, like a curious kid, you have to pay a lot of attention. Yeah, if he's curious, wow. Of course, kids are naturally curious, but, this is a key element also for determining if he's playing or he is just, he's an inventor. So there was a milkman, so a person that came to the building, and he came in his bicycle, and he brought like a trolley or basket or something where he brought bread, fresh bread, and fresh milk. Okay, so bottles of like this, glass bottles of milk and bread to my house, right?
Okay.
And when I was playing outside, I would see him, yeah, when he left maybe in the afternoon, 6-7 o'clock, whatever. He sometimes came maybe more than one times a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. And I saw him that there was a little bulb in his bicycle that lit, like a lamp, right? And then I learned, through other people that, this happened because there is a little dynamo, that a wheel that when it turns, it generates electricity. Okay. Then in one of the books that was in my house, and there were a few encyclopedias that were very good. Yeah, this was my internet at the time. There was no internet, of course. Yeah, we're talking about the 70s. Yeah, no internet. So the books were my source of inspiration, right? The drawings, at 8-9 I could read, of course. Yeah, so what I could read, what I could understand, the formulas that I couldn't understand yet in the physics books, but the drawings. And there was an encyclopedia for kids that was explaining how the water wheels for the farm people, for the farmers,
Yeah, right.
they use these water wheels, so the
river
comes, the river comes, moves the water wheel, and this water wheel, I don't know, like for grain or something, it does like a mechanical
generates electricity,
or even for crushing wheat or something, not necessarily for electricity, but just
agriculture or
to smash the wheat or something like this. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So here's the magic. Here where the magic comes, right? So I cross-pollinated naturally. Naturally, I said, well, if I have water, it's like the river. If I can add to the tap, I can add a small water wheel, not the big one that the farmers have, but a small water wheel. If I can add it, right? And if I can add what he has, what the milkman has also, because this thing they call dynamo, whatever, I know it generates electricity that lights a bulb, right? And then we have like a long cable. We have a long cable and we have a little bulb. So I can use this like a wired torch. I can go around the house. I have 10 meters and I can go and I can, instead of taking the candle, I can go with this.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. So
at this stage, a question. At this stage, the idea, was it only in your imaginary lab within your mind? So I suppose wasn't concretized yet.
No. Okay. It was not concretized. We didn't have 3D printers.
Okay.
We didn't have, elements maybe that we needed. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the support as well. Yeah, I didn't have the support at the time. But for me, though it was not implemented, right? So though it was not an innovation because I didn't make it,
but the intuition was,
for me, it had enormous value because, it works. Technically, it works, right? Of course, somebody could say, oh, you cannot put a dynamo because it does not have enough force. I know. We can use maybe instead of a dynamo, like a small motor, like Scalectric, the small,
right.
The motor, it's like a dynamo as well. You move the motor, it generates a voltage and power on the other side.
Yes, of course.
And today, and by the way, something funny, like a few months back this year, I found in the internet the same device that I invented when I was, 40 years back in the internet, something that you connect to the tap and generates electricity.
There's always the stories, and you told me about the Nike one. We're going to come back to it later, but there's a lot of invention.
But this was my first invention that I'm proud of because the process, right? I cross-pollinated and it was in my head and it was working. I didn't implement, as I said, I didn't have the support of my family. We didn't have 3D printers to print the housing of the thing. There are a lot of things. But anyway, now we jump till I was 19 years old. Okay. So when I'm 19 years old, I go to the movies to see this film called Back to the Future 2. And this movie, it changed my mind, okay? Because in the movie, they show like gadgets of the future. One of the gadgets was like an auto-lacing shoe from Nike. So the guy, he puts the feet and then this auto-laces. Right. And there were other, like a floating hovercraft, a skateboard, many things. So when I go out of the cinema with 19 years, I said, why do we have to wait till the future to have these things? I can make some of them now. Well, not now, but if I put all my energy and my brains and I get some help, I can do it now in a few years. Why do I need? This is not fantasy. This is, I can push the limits. And I liked the one of the shoe, and I started working on this. Then, I mean, something for the people to know, I'm not justifying myself, but I went through a very rough personal situation at that time. I asked for the components and said, no, this does not exist. Okay, yes, I'm inventing something new. Of course, I would expect some things don't exist, but yeah. And I want this other component. No, it does not exist. Okay, so I continue working on all this on the shoe. Yeah, I continue working, and of course I couldn't dedicate full time. I didn't have all the money to do it. Yeah, but I did some progress over the years, and luckily, you know, my life changed a little bit because I was admitted to IBM, and this changed my life as well.
That's really great. IBM is the biggest company in that field.
Yeah, and also I will tell you very shortly, but something that is relevant.
Yeah, please tell me.
So I mean, going through all these tough times, and you know, with jobs that I didn't like, and yeah. So my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend, very supportive during all this period. Yeah. She found in the newspaper, yeah, she found an ad. They were, you know, asking for somebody that you know, for the electronics department, for the hardware department in IBM. And she said, well, you can apply, you know, it has a lot of things that you have, and you have a good CV, and you have a good profile. And I was so devastated, and my self-esteem was so low that I got angry with my girlfriend, and I took the newspaper and I broke it and I throw it in the bin. Yeah. And we were at another house, not in my house. We were in another place. And when we left this house, you know, actually it was my uncle's house. When we left this house, my wife secretly, she takes this paper from the bin. She puts it in her purse and she takes it. Yeah. And she makes me apply. Days later, she convinced me to apply. Yeah. And it was very hard selection process because the person I was replacing, he had done some not good things. Yeah, I'm not going to go into details, but so I was scrutinized. My selection process went through months. Yeah, and psychology test, and technical test, and personality test, and all these things. Yeah. And yeah, and also because my wife was a psychologist, she supported me in all this process. And yeah, okay, finally, I mean, a bit of me, a lot of my wife, and a lot of luck, I got inside IBM. Okay, and it's a great company, changed my life, changed the way I think. You know, I mean, really, once you go into IBM, it puts like a stamp in your forehead, right?
Yeah, right.
You understand what a customer is. You understand that your salary is not paid by the company, but by the customers, right? You understand about perception. So your job is not done unless the customer perceives is well done. Yeah. So it's not a factual thing, it's a perception thing.
Yeah. It's like a result-driven company rather than just like doing processes for doing it. Yeah. Right. There's a huge thing to say behind processes today in huge companies, like implementing processes and they don't know if it generates value. And yes, IBM is really known not just as a tech-driven company, but also as a result-driven company. So yeah, I agree with that.
Right. So I joined IBM. Yeah. Sometime later, the shoe is ready. Okay. It's ready as a prototype, as a working prototype. Right. So I designed the electronics. I made the adjustments for the shoe. I found the right form factor and power requirements for the battery. So it had to be very small to fit into the shoe. Yeah. So I used some Polaroid batteries. Yeah. Very high power, low form factor, thin, light.
Sorry to interrupt, but you've been what age at this moment?
Well, I joined IBM with 24 years. At this age, I was around 27, 28.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. So yeah, it took many years. Yeah. I mean, more than what I would have liked for the prototype to be ready. Yeah. But as I said, it was not, I mean, sometime I was not working on it or blah, blah, blah. Anyway. Okay. So when I was 28, the shoe was ready. I applied for a patent in my country because I didn't have the money. It was very expensive at the time to have a patent in US. It was like impossible for me. I mean, so anyway, I said, well, I mean, at least I have something, yeah, a starting point. And then if somebody is interested, we can apply in other countries, etc., etc. So I got the regional head of Nike in South America interested to meet me only, yeah, because I mean, he didn't know, I mean, because I went first to Uruguay, the guy in Uruguay, he convinced the guy in Argentina to meet me. So I fly to, I asked one day off at IBM. I take a holiday, I take one day off. Yeah. I put this shoe in my backpack. Right? Actually, I have it here. I can show it to you if you want.
Yeah.
I fly to Argentina, and this is what the shoe looked like. So wow. I designed this circuit myself. So it's basically, you know, and here was the Polaroid battery, yeah, and these are the actuators, yeah. Actually, it's a nitinol wire that, you know, it contracts, yes, with when current passes through, right? And here was the button. So now it's not working because, I mean, I don't know, maybe rust or overtime and all these things.
This was the first prototype ever, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is my understanding, the first patent in the world. My understanding, yeah. Okay. The first patent in the world.
That's okay? Really great. They're really awesome.
Okay. So imagine this today, putting this in my backpack and going through the airport. Hello, I'm coming here. You know, so sir, what do you have there?
Yes, well, I can imagine.
An inventor, right? Yeah, please, can we talk? Can we go here to this room, please? Yeah.
Yes, please. Follow us.
Yeah. So, yeah, just for I mean, for everybody know, but maybe for more technical people, I use what's called a decade counter, a chip, this 4017. Yeah. So every pulse of the clock, it enables a different output. Okay. So that's why for power consideration, I'm not doing this at the same time. I'm not doing this at the same because it's a lot of power. So I'm doing this 1, 2, 3. So the same power, okay, but you know, it's like, yeah, applied at different times. Yeah? So I go to Argentina, and now something very important, Ayub, at least I value it a lot. Yeah. The person that saw me, that received me in Argentina, he was not any ordinary man, right? He was a veteran inside Nike, a veteran. Yeah. He told me that he had been the project manager for Nike Air project or shoe. And he told me, you know, Pablo, Nike Air was not invented by Nike. It was invented by an inventor like you. He came from outside the company, and Nike brought him inside the company for some time to work with engineers and make it happen. Okay. So I remember till today, I'm outside his office with the secretary, a very luxurious office, and I'm connecting the battery, yeah, because I didn't want to put the battery during the plane, and this, I had the battery off, I put it here, I connect it, I make the test, you know, I do all the tests, and then he calls me in. He has a very luxurious mahogany wood type of desk, very shiny and reddish, you know, and very, very, very nice guy, you know, American guy, very kind, Pablo, thank you for coming, this, that. He told me this story, how he was a project manager for Nike Air, and now he's assigned, like in big corporations, like people that have been with the company for many years, they are assigned to different geographies and the career progresses, right?
Right.
Now you will take care of South America, now you'll go to Singapore. So this is typical, yeah. So he was managing South America. I put this in his desk, right? I press this button, and noiselessly, there's no motor, no noise. They started to do like this. And the face of the guy, I cannot tell you, right? He wanted to disguise it. He couldn't disguise, yeah? And he told me, Pablo, this is amazing. However, I don't have the last word.
Okay.
I have to talk to the people in US. Okay. A few weeks later, maybe a month, maybe a month and a half, I don't know. Yeah. A few months later, I received a letter, I still have it at home, from Nike lawyers.
Okay.
Telling me that they were working on something similar already and that they were not interested. So this was my first shock, right? My first shock. And my first, lesson of how the world works, right? I was very naive. I said, well, I have a good idea, but I don't have the means. This is a prototype, is not ready for industry. Why don't we work together? I don't want all the profits, just I want like a little bit of the profits just to compensate for my time and for my, inventiveness, right? Something fair, yeah? And now this is the time where I realize years later that open innovation did not exist at the time. So open innovation is what happens today with companies, right? Companies have realized over the years that the smartest people or the best solutions not necessarily are within their company. Yeah, and because it's impossible, right? You can have very smart people, very talented people, but still you can, in the world, yeah, you will have people that excel at something and better than the people you have for certain solution of a certain thing. So isn't it smarter to access the whole world instead of accessing, 50 or 100 engineers, PhDs that you have? Of course, that's why companies evolve, and today we have open innovation. That's why companies every now and then, they post challenges to the world and they say, whoever can solve this problem will have this prize and can work with us, right? So what's the risk? Zero risk.
Yes,
what's
right.
the upside? Enormous. That's open innovation. So
Yeah, this is actually one of the most companies known as with their patents is NASA. And when I've invited the director, the deputy director of the Center of Excellence for Collaborative Innovation, they are actually trying to connect NASA capabilities, inventors, and all the tech-driven capabilities internally with what's happening outside of this firm, with collaboration, not just with startups, as we first come up. The first thing coming up into our mind when we think about open innovation, it could be students via hackathons. It could be universities. Crowdsourcing.
About university, right? Only about professors or about students or about startups. Why? It can be anyone. Yeah, it can. Right. Anyone can have a great idea or a great solution, right? And yeah, and not necessarily from these places. Yeah. So so I was very demotivated. I was very sad. But it was my first lesson. And then at some point I said, well, maybe invention is not for me. Maybe I'm a failure in invention, and I will dedicate my energy and my time to the corporate world, right? So, of course, innovation did not exist at that time. Yeah, Innovation,
Yes.
there was no role, innovation manager or chief innovation officer. There was nothing like that.
Yeah, even for open innovation, I think in 2006, only 200 times open innovation were mentioned in Google, actually. So for innovation job or open innovation job wasn't something like known as a job. So yeah, I agree with you.
So now, what's interesting is a bit the transition from, like, I mean, being an inventor is something that is with you for the rest of your life, right? You cannot escape. It's not, oh, now I'm an inventor, now I'm not an inventor. No, it's within the DNA, right? It's like a painter. A painter, he's a painter. Whether he paints, he doesn't paint, he sells, he doesn't sell, he's a painter, right? I believe Van Gogh, he sold in his life 1 or 2 paintings, right? So, but anyway, so now a characteristic, I started seeing that in the jobs or in the companies I was working, they started to give me things that didn't fit anywhere. Yeah. So maybe they had a project, but nobody could take it because it doesn't fit here, it doesn't fit there. We don't have any role or scope for this, but it's something that the company is exploring, something new. And for some reason, maybe my personality, maybe I don't know what, maybe it was a punishment. I don't know what it is. Yeah. But I got assigned these projects that nobody could take or was not in the scope of nobody. Right. And I really liked it. I really liked it because I like out of the ordinary things. Yeah. I really enjoy, I don't want to do the things that everybody does. I want to do things that have not been tried before, things that are difficult, things that people say cannot be done. I mean, the more you tell me this, the more I'm inspired. Yeah. So I started doing in companies different jobs. Yeah. And in some cases, they assign me special projects. Yeah? And then one day, I said, because of course in my free time I continue, doing things and trying things and improving things and inventing things. I said, why don't I try to work in something similar to invention in the corporate world, because corporate world is what I know, right? I mean, I worked all my life in the corporate world. This is what I know. How can I do something similar? And I said, well, I'm going to apply for innovation jobs, right? And in one of the jobs I applied, they say, oh, we like your profile. You've done so many things and you know so many industries and you understand so many technologies. Maybe this is great, And they told me, what experience do you have in our industry? I said, to be honest, I don't have any experience in your industry. And they said, well, this is very good because we don't want somebody that comes already with a preconceived idea. We need somebody that comes out of the box, somebody that doesn't know anything and it's completely new to our industry with fresh ideas. I don't want somebody that has been doing the same, because then it will not be innovative. He will be repeating, copying, using what everybody has done for the last 50 years.
Yeah, they need someone who can do out of ordinary tasks for them.
Correct. And this, this was, my first job as an innovator. And maybe I can tell you as well how having an innovator mind helped me in the job. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to tell you, I hope they don't mind. I don't know if I can name the company. I will not name it, not to have any problems. Yeah. But okay, it's an aviation company. That doesn't matter. Aviation company. Okay. Aviation and cargo company. Okay. Okay. And so I joined the company. I go to my management. I tell them, well, now I started. I'm ready. What should I start working on? They said, well, we don't know because we are creating this new position and you have to build a department yourself. So you tell us. Well, you say, okay, it's fine. I will what I will do, I will try to understand more about the company, about the challenges, about the inner workings, and then I will come with some ideas of how I can help the organization. So I went back to my office, and the first week, it was very hectic. People shouting, people distressed, phones ringing, people running. So I said, well, I just joined a very strange company, right? Very, very stressful. So I hope it's not going to be like this every day. So I go to my colleagues, I tell them, what's going on? I said, Pablo, you don't know? No, I'm a new employee. I just joined. I have no idea. I said, look, the problem, Pablo, is that we are having fog at the airport, and we are losing millions of dollars per day. Why? Because whenever there's fog, there is disruption to the normal operation of the airport. So an airport is all about slots.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So the plane has to come at some time. He has to leave another time. There's a connection. So in another
everything
place,
is connected.
Yeah. So you have people that lose the luggage. You have to pay insurance. You have to pay hotels. You have angry customers that will not fly your airline again. You have like a domino effect of negative effects, right? That make you lose money. Okay. So I said, well, I'm the new senior innovation manager. I should be thinking about something to help my company. Nobody told me, oh, you have to solve this. No. Naturally, I'm learning about the company. They have a problem. Let's see how can I help, at least help. I'm not going to solve all the problem, but help. So I said, what do you know, Pablo, yourself about fog? I know very little, yeah, but that's not the issue. I mean, you as an innovator or inventor, you don't have to have all the answers. You have to be able to know where to search the answers or where to search the team or the people that can help you to solve the problems. Right. So this is the most important skill. Okay, I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm not a genius. I'm a normal guy, very creative, and I'm an inventor. So my mind is wired in a certain way where I can identify patterns easily.
Yeah, you need some knowledge to connect it with what you have in mind. So you need to find the right person, I think.
Yeah, so I said, I'll go to the internet. I'll search for academic papers on fog in the region.
Okay.
Okay. So I do that. I found, a few papers. I understand 10% of what they say, but enough to filter a few of them, do some social engineering with LinkedIn, and call the professors. And I told them, look, my name is Pablo Brizio. I just joined this company as a senior innovation manager. We are having problems with fog, and I understand you have experience. You did some research on this some years back. Can you help us? And one of them was very good. He said, yes, Pablo, please come to my office. And it was not very far from where we were working. Yeah. And I met him. I met his team. And I mean, I don't know if you'd call it luck. I had some luck, let's say. I mean, I did my part, but luck played an element because this team was very, very, very good in climate prediction.
Okay, that's good.
Even people in KAUST in Saudi Arabia, they were using their models, mathematical models, to predict weather conditions and fog and other elements. Yeah. So I talk to them. I tell them, look, we are having this problem, and we already have data about fog, but I would like to test or see if your data, your models are better than the ones we have. Okay.
Okay.
And at the time, it was a bit difficult, the situation, because we were getting the data from official sources. So it's a bit difficult to go to the official sources and tell them, we are trying different models that might be more accurate. So we had to be very careful, very respectful. Anyway, I get the right people inside the organization, and I tell them, look, I found this team. It looks promising, but I want your expert opinion as well. Can we do some tests? And I had to convince them. And when it comes to fog, there's two approaches. One is predictive model, so you can predict when the fog will hit. The other one is called dispersion model. So mechanically, you try to take away the fog, okay, either with salts or other methods.
Right.
Yeah? So, and even in this company, I had I was offended. I was offended because I wanted to do also the dispersion model in parallel. So I went to my country, to the provost of the university. He had a lot of experience working with fog in agricultural. Yeah. So he was removing some layers of the atmosphere near the ground. They have a very, very low temperature. So he was removing with like a big ventilator, let's say, or fan. He was removing these layers close to the ground. So he was creating this flow and the temperature rise. So see, he was influencing on the formation of fog. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was checking with senior people in the organization, and I was coming from the best companies in the world. I used to work for IBM. I worked for GE. I mean, I had a good curriculum, right? I mean, I had a reputation. Yeah. And they were telling me, Pablo, what you're trying to do is, for me, is like teletransportation in Star Trek. And you have nothing. You don't know our industry. You want to, you cannot influence Mother Nature. More or less go away. Don't bother us with these things.
Yeah. It's like resistant to brilliant ideas because they cannot
go
accept.
and do your job or whatever.
Who are you? Yeah.
I was. Yeah, but when this happens, I get, my commitment doubles, right? Because if you challenge me and I'm convinced of something, then I will move heaven and earth to make it happen, right? So anyway, the dispersion model, I left it aside because also the POC would be very expensive. We had to bring like enormous hardware from South America. So we said, dispersion, we leave it aside. It's fine. I'll work on this predictive model. So after 9 or 10 months, and by the way, I found this solution. I found this team 14 days after joining the company.
Yes, just you out of the context and you come up with a brilliant idea.
I found this team. There is part of me, I acknowledge there is a luck element. There is a luck element, of course, because I could have searched for 100 teams and not find anything, but a confluence of synergies, I found the right thing.
Luck could be also dots to be connected with what you have in mind. So I suppose, it helps.
Yeah, probably. And then 10 months later, back and forth and trying to find the right people inside the company, because of course, I can help, but I cannot work alone, right? I cannot, So I had to find the right people, and also in the aviation and industry, everything has to go through a very strict process and protocols, right? So this took time. Now, after 10 months, they were convinced. The company was convinced, and they signed a very big, many million, I will not say the currency, but many million in the local currency. To sign an agreement with this team to come up with this predictive model that they use for long. And part of the agreement was to buy an element that the airport didn't have. In the world, most airports have this instrument. This airport didn't have. It's called radiometer or radiometer. It's to measure the layers of the atmosphere. I don't know if they do it with microwave. I don't know how they do it, but it's a very expensive equipment, and that helps a lot in this. So as part of the agreement, they bought this instrument plus all this predictive model. They had like supercomputers or very advanced processing computers to model all this, mathematical model that they had. I was never acknowledged for this. It's okay. I'm not looking for glory or my name in the picture, or I don't care. I did my job. I know I did my job. My manager knows I did my job. You know, God knows I did my job, right? The rest, I really don't care, right?
This is the best acknowledgement you could have in
yeah,
recognition. Yeah.
So this is how an inventor thinks. Yeah, where can I add value? How can I find a solution? I don't know. Well, I will find somebody that knows and can help me, because, you know, I mean, you have to join the dots and make the puzzle, right?
Yeah, right.
So an inventor is an enabler. An inventor is the one that puts the pieces together, is the driving force, right? So this is one example. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very good example, and I suppose this is what makes the huge leap, the huge switch from an inventor to corporate innovation topics. So tell us about your journey now. I see that we still have a few minutes before the end of the call, or the end of this exciting meeting. What's for you the best practices or the ideal model for corporate innovation based on your experience at both innovation and inventor area?
Yeah, a very, very critical question and very good question. Yeah. So first of all, there's no one fit all. Yeah. So it depends on the company, depends on the industry, depends on so many things. But in general, if we are talking about large corporations, I came to the conclusion after many years, decades of career, and knowing very well the corporate world. You know, I have 30 years of career, out of which I think 20 are in the corporate world, right? The rest is small companies, startups, but 20 years, I think I worked in big companies. Yeah.
Okay. So
my best model, if of course you have to adjust to the environment, but theoretically, if I had to choose the best model, for me, the best model is what is called in the innovation slang, the hybrid model. So what's the hybrid model? Hybrid model is two models in parallel, okay? So the model says that all employees, you can help them to become more innovative, to participate in ideas, etc. But, you know, they can help, but they are not the driving force. They can help, they can participate, yeah. But then you have like a X team, like Google X. You have an X team that drives innovation, pushes innovation forward independently from the day-to-day business. And this is, I know it's a bit controversial. I know it's a bit controversial, but you cannot ask the day-to-day people to be innovative. They are under pressure. They have to deliver numbers. The quarter is closing. Yeah, they have operational problems. Yeah, they are more interested in operational excellence, Six Sigma, for the day-to-day incremental small innovation, cost cutting. Deadlines. So don't ask them to be innovative. Why? You're putting stress on them, and it's not their topic. It's not their topic. So leave innovation for the innovators. Make an X team that understands the industry at a certain level. Maybe they're not experts, but they understand enough. Also, the trends today, it's all about trends. AI, it's in all the fields. So it doesn't matter if you come from, I don't know, mining industry. AI has an influence, right? So I would make an X team that is 5 years ahead of the company, right? Doing agreements, doing POCs, doing patents, you know, and having very little contact with the day-to-day, right? If you need help, if you want to participate, you're welcome. Otherwise, you do your day-to-day, I do my 5 years ahead. At some point we meet in the future when you're ready, when we are ready, when we have something to bring, to add, yeah, and then we can connect in those, we have some point of contacts, right? For me, this is the best model. I met some companies that do something similar, and these companies, they told me, I asked them, when do you fail? And they told me, we only fail if we didn't learn anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
we test, we push the limits. The company comes to us for best practices, you know, and I can cite it because it's a great company, and it's CETA, for example, you know, and as an example, CETA is the first company that implemented facial recognition for passenger boarding in the US. Yeah. So why they did this? Because they pushed the limit. They were 5 years ahead or more. Okay. And the business, they come to them when they need direction, because they test and they know the technologies inside out. It's not theoretical. Oh yes, I know IoT, I know blockchain. No, they go deep. They go into the nitty gritty. They do their own L1 or their own blockchain. They stretch the technology. They tear the thing apart. They understand it. They stretch it. They see the limits. They are like a center of excellence for the organization, and they are 5 years ahead. For me, this is the best model. Now, companies or corporations in general, they don't understand this model. And it's fine. I mean, this is my personal and private opinion. And I don't have to be right. This is my opinion after 30 years. Okay?
I can't agree more. This is like, for me, the perfect ideal model that we can have for innovation to drive non-obvious innovation within big companies. And
correct. Yeah, if we are looking for, Horizon 2 or Horizon 3,
1 + 1 = 2. This is obviously so.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, something obvious, I'm going to say something obvious, but this only works if the top management and the board, and the stakeholders are convinced that innovation and disruptive innovation, is what gives you an edge at the end of the day. Okay. So, and also what I know we're running out of time, but something that I believe a lot, I believe a lot, and
yes,
many times over the years, I've had discrepancies with financial officers that cannot understand this concept. I believe in critical mass. So what does it mean, critical mass? Yeah. For example, in basic research, in university, right? Basic research, right? Usually it's well known or established that on average, from basic research in the lab to something that is more applicable in the real world, we are looking for 10 years. Okay. So if in year number 5 or 6, I open the door of the lab and tell them, show me the value. Where's the value? Show me. I want to know now because I'm funding this. I put money here. I want to know. Show me the value. Maybe they cannot show me the value I'm looking, but they have aggregated knowledge, that at some point...
They can show the effort instead.
The what, sorry?
They can show the effort instead. Because we're not sure to get into value as soon as possible. There's no KPI, I suppose, to capture value fast when we invent it.
Correct. So what I like to think is about critical mass. Okay. So today I learn a little bit like this. Tomorrow I learn something. Then tomorrow I learn something that goes on top of this. But first I needed this. Yeah. So at some point I reach what I call a critical mass that that allows me to make the jump or the leap to something practical that will have eventually an economic benefit that at the end is what all corporations are looking for. And that's fine. The thing that the way we reach there is different. Yeah. You cannot start, in my country, we say you cannot put the horses, you cannot put the cart in front of the horses, right? And I put the same example like the internet. Yeah. At the beginning of the internet, if a financial person, yeah, he had to take a decision, I'm going to invest in this or no. And he say, okay, what are the use cases? Okay, I can send some text, ugly screen, no graphics, no nothing. Yeah, I can only send email. I cannot do anything more, Web 1. Yeah, so this has no future. I will not invest a dime in this. Now, the people that understood innovation, they knew that this was a building block to learn things that today, that at that time they didn't know, but by doing that, they learn new things that allow them to do new things and reach a critical mass and go into what today we are going into Web 3, right? So,
yeah, right.
So you need critical mass. You need to go through the process. You need to believe in the process and believe in the people, okay? And maybe just to finalize, something that I always like to, funny story that they told me, I don't know, I think it's true. I don't know the company or the country or nothing, but, you know, it's very funny. You know, a CEO of a company once, he was very upset and angry with his team, yeah? He opened the door and he said, you know, I invested so much money in an innovation lab and you are not innovative and you're not innovating, yeah? So this is the perfect example. It's not about money. It's not about mandate. It's not about how angry I am or how you know, KPIs I put on you. No, you have to create the environment. Yeah, the mindset, the teamwork, the synergies. This is the secret sauce. You have to create synergies, teams. Not everybody works well with one another. Okay, if I work great with you, Ayub, why are you going to force me to work with him or her that we don't get along? Why? You know, form cells, form teams, agile. You know, so this is what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. This is how I feel. I take it very passionately because I believe in these things.
Yeah, and I love when you mentioned agile. One of the books that I love is Lean Startup by Eric Rice. About
yes, I read it.
Yes,
it's
just incredible book. And this like learning cycle of measuring and like adapting, etc. This is what makes us learn. And this kind of teams you're talking about getting to discover new things. And even if we feel it's not a waste, it's like we gain something that we're gonna maybe focus on in the next couple of years to make it better. And this is the must thing you're talking about, and it's just like it so much. So I do appreciate all these inspiring talks. And
you even made me cry. You made me cry. So now,
no. And I believe
but it's fine because I mean it's okay. It was there. I mean it came out naturally. I mean it was not planned. It was not. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't disguise it. You know, I had to cut the
this is an inspiring. This is because actually this is an inspiring journey with all the up and downs, and this is what I liked about your journey. And I hope to see you as you suggested, of course, and I will handle to do this in the Eiffel Tower restaurant with another maybe innovation leader to talk about some exciting topics next year.
Wow, that would be amazing. The Eiffel Tower, Paris is one of my favorite cities with my wife, and it's so a special place, full of energy, full of innovation. What it represents, the Eiffel Tower, what it represented at the time, you know. So it has a lot of energy. So it would be great. It would be a dream come true. Actually,
it will be so great, and I will handle to organize this as soon as possible. So thank you so much, Pablo, and looking forward to hear from you again for an exciting innovation-related topic from you.
Thank you once again, Ayub, and I felt very comfortable. It was one of the best interviews I had so far because I could express myself freely. We touched on different topics: personal, technical, innovation, psychology, life. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.